Hello everyone, welcome to Fireshark. In this video, we are going to cover the Network Plus, and the first topic is OSI model. But before that, let's understand basic of networking. So basically, what is networking? Networking refers to the practice of connecting computers, devices, or peoples to share the resources and information. So just like as you can see, this is the internet, firewall, wireless router, desktop computer. These are the computing devices, and you just have to create a networking through the wired or wireless system. Okay, now it has involves a various hardware and software components to create a system where different devices can communicate each other and share their resources and share their data. Okay, now next one is types of networking. The first one is local area network, LAN, and basically it covers a small geographic area, and for example, such as a single building. In a single building, you have to create a networking. Doesn't matter how many devices you have. It can be 50 devices, it can be 100 devices, and you have to set up a in a single building networking. Then it's called a LAN networking. Okay, now next one is campus area network. So basically it's a group of LAN. You can say that it's a group of LAN where different campus, different buildings have their own LAN, and you just have to interconnect that LAN, and that's called campus area network. Now next one is metropolitan area network. So metropolitan area network covers a city, like it spans a city or a campus commonly utilized by educational institutions, government agencies, and large corporations. Suppose a government agency had different branches in cities, and they just have to create a networking and connect that the larger networks, so they can say that like they have to create a metropolitan area network. Now next one is wide area network. It covers a larger geographic area, often spanning across the cities, countries, and even continents. So basically it's a global network. As you can say that when it comes to the cities, across the cities, countries, and continents, just like internet is widely spread on the whole world. So you can say that internet is a wide area network. Now next one is OSI model layers. So basically the whole network plus is based on this model layers. Okay, so let's understand what is this. So the OSI model layer is a conceptual framework used to understand the network communication and normalize the function of telecommunication or computing system into 7 abstraction layer. Basically through this layer you can specific it's also a specific purpose and interacts with adjacent layer, suppose basically you can say that these layers works together to ensure that data is transmitted reliably and efficiently across a networking. Okay, when you categorized it in a different layers and protocols, you can easily troubleshoot the problems on the whole networking system. Okay, basically it is designed by International Organization for Standardization, ISO, in 1984. So now let's understand the different layers on the in a broad way. So first one is layer 1 physical layers, layer 2 data link, layer 3 network, layer 4 transport, layer 5 session, layer 6 presentation, and layer 7 application. You just have to learn this layer because it's very commonly repeated in this course. Okay, now next one is data encapsulation and decapsulation. So when data goes through sender to the receiver, how the data is transmitted and formatted and received to the receiver side, it basically describe the process of that thing. Okay, the first one is addressing. So when sender send the data to the receiver, the sender should be recognized the where is the address of this data and where should be sent the destination address, right? So in addressing, they address their destination address. Okay, now next one is encapsulation. So basically it refers to the conception where data is wrapped with additional information, as the data passes through each layer in the OSI model, each layer adds its own header and footer to the original data, and the resulting package, often referred to as a PDO, like protocol data unit, contains the original data along with the headers and from each layer. So basically, when data is sent over the internet, the application layer data is encapsulated by the transport layer, and by adding TCP header, the resulting unit is then encapsulated by the network layer, adding an IP header, and so on unit until it reaches the like a physical layer. So when data travel sender to receiver, the sender have like a sender machine is wrapped, like the data is wrapped in the additional form and then sent to the receiver side. Okay, now decapsulation is the removal of additional information added to data during encapsulation, allowing the original data to be extracted and processed by the receiving system. So basically, when the receiver side received that data, they just have to remove the additional information during the encapsulation. Okay, and when the encapsulated form, the data is covered with different information, and when the decapsulation is formed, the data is like a removal of additional information. Okay, now next one is data like as you can see that this like this image properly showed the what happened to the data when sending computer and receiving computer, like how data is traveled. Okay, so when data come to the application presentation session, these protocols layers, the sending machine create a encapsulation form, and when the data goes through that process and then reached to the receiving computer, the decapsulation formed here. Okay, as you can see, the data is formed as a raw format in the 3 sessions, like 3 layers, and after that the 4th layer like transport layer added the segment header. After that, network layer added the packet header, and after that data link layer frame header and frame teller. Okay, and then data is converted into binary numbers, and that process vice versa started in the receiving computer system. Okay, the next one is physical layer, so which is the first layer. The physical layer, basically the first and the lowest layer of OSI model, and this layer responsible for the actual physical connection between the network devices, like the cabling, the topologies, bandwidth uses, multiplexing strategies, wiring, everything happened in that in this layer. Okay, it defines how devices are connected to the network medium and how the data is transmitted as electrical, optical or radio signals, and how these signals are represented as zeros and ones, like in ones form. As you know that the computer device only understand the zeros and ones form, so that conversion and the process is happened on this layer. Basically, like as you can see, the how bits are represented on the medium. Wiring standards, like when through the wire, through the cables, you have to connect different computer networks, that happened on this layer. Physical topologies, if you know the star topologies, bus topologies, these are the like basically a structure of networking, and synchronizing bits, bandwidth uses, multiplexing strategies, like how data transmit to one device to another device through the cabling. Okay, now next one is transmission media. Transmission media is also happened in the physical layer. So they have 2 media, wired media and wireless media. It refers to the transmission of data over wired based communication technology like telecommunication cables, and transmit the data through electrical signals like copper cables or light pulses in a fiber optic cables. So basically they are form of cabling. So how data transmit? through the wired or wireless. So this and now next understand the wireless media. So this media uses electromagnetic waves to transmit signals through air and water or vacuum without a physical medium. Okay, now next understand the physical layer specification. So the physical layer have two specifications. The first one is topologies and the second one is physical interface. In topologies, basically it had arrangement of nodes. Nodes in the sense of computer devices like computer, server, switches, firewalls, routers, etc. And a network is typically divided into segments to cope with the physical restrictions of the network media, used to basically improve performance or improve security. For the security reason and performance based, the physical layer have the topologies like a bus topology, star topology. They have the infrastructure to how the network is arranged. Okay, now next one is physical interface. The physical interface is the hardware that connects a system to a network. Basically interfaces is like a ports such as a port 1, port 2, Ethernet cabling. They consist of software driver and connector into which you can connect network media such as Ethernet cable. So yeah, when you connect through the cable on the basis of physical layer, then you just need to a cable port, right? That port system is called physical interface. Okay, now next one is devices. Which devices worked on the physical layer? The first one is transceiver. Basically a transceiver short for transmitter receiver, used to send and receive data over communication media such as cables or wireless signals. The next one is repeater. So repeater is a device used to extend the range of network by amplifying and retransmitting data signals. And next one is hub. So hub is a multiple repeater when the functions as the central point of connection for nodes in a network. Now next one is media converter. Basically media converter is like used for convert signals from one network media type, such as suppose you have Ethernet cable and you want to convert into Wi-Fi connection, then suppose you have a network media type is a copper cable, okay, and another is a fiber optic cable, and if you know that copper cable performance is not that good, so for improve the performance of networking, you need to add a fiber optic cables. So the cabling system, you just have to take a media converter and then put it into the networking, and it converts your media type. Okay, now next one is modem. So modem is a short for do modulator that converts digital data to analog signals and transmission over analog communication line. So basically it converts digital to analog and analog to digital. Okay, now understand what is the different devices at different works. Okay, now next one is data link layer. So this is the second, and this is the second layer of network layer. It's responsible for the node to node delivery, basically data, and ensuring error free transmission of information. In this layer they have two type of connection, which is MAC address and LLC. Through the MAC address, it's a physical addressing, logical topology, and method of transmitting on the media, and the LLC connecting services synchronizing transmission. So the data link layer organizes the stream of bits arriving from the physical layer into structured units called frame. Basically when data come from physical to data link, the data link create a frame and put that data into framing, so that the transmission of that data packet should be like efficiently goes through that another protocols. Okay, the next one is frame. So on data link layer, how framing is structured, it shows that the sending machine and the receiving machine packet arriving from the above layers, and the header, payload feeder, payload field, and trailer. Like this is called framing. Like when data is framed with additional information like header and trailer, and then this goes to the receiving machine. This process happened in the on the data link layer. Okay. Now next one is devices that operate at the data link layer. So the first one is the network adapter, an IC card, and here hardware component that allows computers to connect to the network. Basically this is a hardware component, and the MAC address is assigned in that component, and through the MAC address the physical interface interconnect like to each other, right? Okay, the next one is bridge. So bridge is like a device that connects and filter traffic between different network segments. So basically when network segments come, they the bridge used to filter that data packets, and a bridge has multiple ports such of which functions as a network interface. So when come to the switch, an advanced type of bridge that many ports and a switch efficiently connects numerous devices within a network by creating direct links. So basically in a switch, basically it's a advanced version of bridge, and it transmits the data through the network interfaces and the ports, and the data like in the switches the data is only sent on the intended destination address, so that it basically it not create a broadcast. Okay, unnecessary data should not be traveled in the switch. Okay, now next one is wireless access point. A wireless access point enables devices with wireless network cards to communicate, acting as a bridge between wireless and wired network. Basically wireless access point is used for bridge between the wireless and wired network. It converts the wireless network into wired networks, or wired networks into a wireless network. Okay, now next understand the network layer. So the network layer manages data movement across the networks like the internet using logical network and host IDs. Unlike the data link layer, which work within a single network, the network layer enables data transfer between various networks using logical identifiers. The main appliance working at layer 3 is router. So on the network layer, the data basically travel node to node. Okay, sorry, node to node or host to host. Suppose like understand this layer through that example. Like imagine you want to send a letter to your friend who lives in another city. The network layer is like a postal service, and that helps you to letter reach its destination. Just like you put your friend's address on the envelope, computers on the network have unique addresses like IP addresses, and the network layer ensures that your data, like your network, knows where to go. Now let's understand the routing. So your letter might pass through different post offices and routes before reaching your friend. Similarly, the network layer describes like the best path for how your data travel through the network, and it figures out the most efficient way for your information to reach its destination. So the main appliance working at layer 3 is the router. So at the router, all the functionalities of this layer is happened. Okay. So the network layer is like let's understand in a summarized way. So the network layer is like the manager of the postal services for computers, and it handles the addressing, figure out the best route, and breaks down the data into smaller parts and make sure that everything gets delivered to the right place. Okay, now let's understand the transport layer. So basically transport layer is a layer 4, and it's basically manage communication between application on different devices within a network. So basically it's a bridge between the network and the application layer. Okay, as you can see, the application layer is here. So and the transport layer is here. So the application layer and transport layer communicate in networking. The network layer and application layer communicate through the transport layer. Basically the main bridge between the network and the application is transport layer. So one of the primary function of this transport layer is to guarantee the reliable delivery of data packets. Basically it forms a data packets into segments and then delivered to the network layer. So devices working at the transport layer include multi-layer switches using working as a load balancers and many types of security appliances such as more advanced firewalls and intrusion detection system IDSS. These are the security advanced appliances. It works on transport layer. As you can see that if something bad happened in your network and some security breaches happened on your network, so first of all you just have to check your firewalls, and for the checking of firewalls you have to go on the transport layer, because you know that the firewalls work on the transport layer. So this classification, this layer specification have divided on that basis. Okay, so the main working protocol is TCP and UDP protocol on that layer, and you can understand in that way, like for example suppose imagine you are having a phone conversation with your friend, and the transport layer is like the conversation rules and organization. Basically it create and rules. Just like a conversation, you and friend follow certain rules, like talking turns to speak. The transport layer defines the rules for how computers and the remote computer should communicate. These are called protocols such like transmission control protocol TCP and user data protocol UDP. Sometimes your conversation might be too long to say in one go. Similarly, the transport layer can break down large pieces of data into smaller and manageable chunks called segments. So this ensures that information is sent efficiently and can be resembled correctly on the other hand. So if a word gets muffled or you miss something your friend says, you might ask them to repeat it. The transport layer can ensure that data is delivered accurately, and if needed, the request and transmission of if needed, the request and a retransmission of any missing or corrupt parts could be recovered. So there are different ways to have a conversation. So you might choose to talk slowly and clearly for accuracy, to speak faster and quicker exchange. Similarly, the transport layer provides different protocols like TCP, which ensures accurate delivery but might be a bit slower, and UDP, which is a faster way but not guaranteed that every piece of information reaches to its destination. Okay, so basically TCP ensures the accurate delivery but not the like it works slowly, and the UDP basically works faster but not guaranteed to the every conversation and every data packet should be delivered to its destination. Okay, so the transport layer manages the rules of data conversation, breaks into manageable parts, and ensure like accurate delivery, and provides option in a different communication style depending on the situation. Okay, now next one is session layer. So session layer basically acts as a coordinator for the entire communication process. As a coordinator, suppose in a business meeting there is a coordinator, right, who basically it's a setting up a session and management and termination of dialogues between the devices. Basically you can understand these three setup session. Basically it's establish a connection through a series of messages, setting up conversation and rules between the client and the servers. So basically it's create a session between the client and a server. And next one is maintaining a session, ensuring orderly transfer of messages and files in a structured conversation. So when you send something, suppose when you mail someone, and so basically it create a session that the sender and the server should be linked to each other. So the next one is tearing down a session responsible for ending the dialogue in a orderly fashion. So like you have seen that when you send the messages, the messages, if messages has reached their destination, there is a message pop up that message will sent, like message has sent. So the basically the main funda of the session layer is to creating session between the client and the server. Now next one is presentation layer. So basically presentation layer handles the formatting the text or other types of data such as multimedia or graphic files in a format that allows compatibility between the communicating device. Basically it format the data when data travel presentation to the application to the presentation. It needs to be formatting and encryption. Okay, so encryption enhance the security by scrambling data and rendering interception effective and preventing third parties from deciphering the information. So basically on this layer the data is encrypted and it become more securable and unbreachable. Okay, so the main work of presentation layer is to data formatting and encrypting the data. Now next one is application layer. So the application layer represent the highest layer in the networking stack. Like the user is like user only works on the application layer, right? It interacts with only application layer. So they provide a communication interface for software programs on a network host to execute data to establish lower level protocols. Like it basically communication interface, we can say that through that layer you can exchange data and establish lower level protocols. So this includes facilitating activities like web browsing, email communication, directory lookup, remote printing and database services. These all these facilitating functions happened on this layer. So the application services and service advertisement, you can say that, happened on this layer. So now next one is OSI model summary. So you can see that here are the different like protocols on different layers. Okay, the transceiver, cable, media converter, hub, these are the devices which is basically work on physical layer. And the data link layer have frame, MAC addresses, bridges, switches. These are the devices which works on data link layer. On the network layer, datagram, IP addresses, basic firewall, router, these devices works on network layer. On transport layer, data converted into a segment. And on the session presentation and application, the data is on the form of wave, email, file transferring, stateful, application layer, security appliances, multi-layer switch. These are the appliances and functionalities of these three layers: session, presentation and application layers. Now let's end up this session, and I hope you understood the basic layers and the OSI model layers. Okay, now next on next session we summarize the SOHO networking. So basically it's like a small office, home office networking, a basic example of LAN networking. So you can revise it, and if you clearly understand this protocol, the another topics will be very easy to understand. Okay.